The beginning of the hypothesis was sparked by a paper that served as a catalyst for the process. As a result, one of the most passionate surges of speculation that has been observed in the XRP community over the period of several years has been triggered. A number of people have made the allegation on the internet that there is a mysterious file that contains what appears to be a confidential header from the Federal Reserve. XRP has the potential to be granted an internal strategic reserve valuation that is significantly more than its price on the public market, as evidenced by this file. It is imperative to emphasize that nothing contained herein has been vetted, nothing contained herein has been verified, and nothing contained herein ought to be considered a factual assertion. That being said, the notion in and of itself has led to an extensive amount of disagreement that has arisen between academics, analysts, and conspiracy theorists. Their argument is that in the event that central banks employ a range of valuation models on an internal basis, this stolen document, irrespective of whether it is authentic, a counterfeit, or just a skillfully crafted mock-up, could offer a glimpse into how institutions, in a hypothetical situation, assess the worth of digital settlement assets behind the scenes. The reason that the excitement is increased is due to the fact that the paper fits in perfectly with the narrative that has been developing over a period of time. Yet, the fact that the paper appears to be legitimate is not of any importance to anyone. The belief that significant banking organizations are in the process of making arrangements for monetary changes that occur many years before the general population is able to understand what is happening. The valuation of 10,000 US dollars for each XRP is not considered to be a forecast of the market price inside these circles of speculation. Rather, it is regarded as an institutional value that is hypothetical in nature and is tied to a number of different aspects, including collateral structures, liquidity requirements, cross-border settlement models, and projection systems, which are all employed in financial modeling on a big scale. Individuals who accept this idea sometimes refer to historical examples in which gold, for instance, maintained a given market price for public trading, but a significantly higher valuation on the balance sheets of particular institutions for the purpose of internal computations. In this hypothetical scenario, they say that in the event that central banks were in the process of developing a digital settlement architecture, they would be able to attach a strategic value to each asset that is connected with predicted throughput, liquidity reach, or systemic significance, as opposed to retail speculation. The concept resonates with people because it creates a narrative in which the financial elite operate within a completely other informational environment that is not in any way connected to the reality in which ordinary investors operate. This is the case even though there is not a single piece of proof that can be brought up to bolster this assertion. Theorists then establish a relationship between the document and significant activities that are carried out by international institutions, such as the Bank for International Settlements. However, this connection is also formed completely on the basis of supposition. They emphasize real-world endeavors like, as the BIS Project Agora, the idea of a unified ledger, and the ongoing research being undertaken on the topic of tokenized assets for wholesale settlement. These are long-standing research programs that have been formed with the purpose of studying the future of financial infrastructure. The individuals who believe in conspiracy theories take these events that have taken place in the actual world and expand them into more elaborate stories. Based on the information that is currently available, I would like to make an educated estimate that global financial institutions are not only in the process of preparing interconnected digital networks, but are also in the process of reviewing valuation methods for digital assets. The relationship between this and XRP is not something that has been confirmed, and it is not something that has been mentioned in any official sources. Nonetheless, the ideas that are pushed by the community often draw relationships between declarations that are made to the general public, assumptions regarding private testing, and what they believe to be indicators that are directly in front of their eyes. As the number of people who are investigating these hypotheses continues to grow, they are coming up with their own distinct levels of interpretation for each and every one of them. A significant number of people argue that the alleged $10,000 amount functions as a hypothetical calculation of settlement efficiency. This calculation represents high-value liquidity in tiny quantities with the goal of reducing systemic volatility. There are also others who contend that, in theory, it may function as a representation of significant wholesale payment systems in which digital assets are employed on a scale that is beyond the comprehension of consumers in the retail sector. There are even others who go so far as to suggest that it is a mirror of a hypothetical situation that may come to pass in the future, one that involves replacing or supplementing conventional correspondent banking systems with tokenized assets. Even if there is no evidence to support any of these interpretations, the rate of advancement in digital banking is increasing at such a quick pace that people are intuitively searching for signs in every dark corner, which has caused an increase in speculation. Furthermore, this rumor takes advantage of the widely held belief that the long-anticipated Bretton Woods 3.0 is approaching. In recent years, there have been a variety of different issues, including increasing debt, currency instability, and geopolitical strife that have led theorists and analysts to examine the prospect of a worldwide monetary reorganization. Digital assets have the potential to play a significant role in the recalibration of international financial systems as perceived from their point of view. XRP is frequently at the focus of such hypotheses due to the fact that it was originally designed for cross-border settlement. Furthermore, it seems to make an appearance in discussions held in the business that deal with liquidity that has been broken down into tokens. The people who favor this practice reinterpret these exchanges as if they were coded messages, even if they do not indicate that the government will adopt the practice. They propose the idea that if a new monetary standard is in the process of being established, which is a system that either replaces or supplements the previous standards, then it is likely that digital assets may already have been integrated into the initial theoretical frameworks. The amount of conjecture increases to an even greater degree when analysts who focus on the internet establish connections between these conjectures and trends that are displayed in the utilization of institutional wallets, withdrawals from exchanges, and unusual variations in liquidity. They conduct a thorough examination of every noteworthy change in the price of XRP with the goal of discovering possible indications, investigating groups of wallets, identifying flows that are reminiscent of those of institutions, and bringing to attention any accumulations or periods of inactivity that appear to be irregular. In speculative civilizations, patterns such as this are not regarded as random occurrences. Rather, they are regarded as positioning strategies that have been carefully and precisely plotted out. Even the most ordinary acts can be invested with importance that is in line with mythological principles. In this way, conspiracy theories are brought into being. There is not a single criterion for evidence. It is sufficient for a countless number of interpretations to be inspired by the very potential that anything could be occurring. The psychological aspect is the next thing we take into consideration, and it lends additional evidence in favor of the hypothesis. The idea that members of the upper class are cognizant of the actual value of an object long before the broader public becomes aware of it is an intriguing and captivating concept. It generates a feeling of comprehension on the part of the audience, which is the sensation that the people watching are participating in a mystery that is unfolding and that they are unable to see. The continued survival of this theory is due to this feeling. It demonstrates the vast history of the financial markets, in which major changes are often made quietly and subsequently become known to the public only after financial firms have already. They ought to set themselves in a position that allows the story to have a sense of resonance, as it evokes a sense of familiarity, even if this is not happening in this particular environment. The idea also emerges because of the great emotional reward that it includes as a component. Every small transaction that is made by retail investors is imbued with a sense of predetermined significance if those investors have the conviction that they are acquiring something that is now on sale for a significant discount. This is especially true if they believe that the mythical future system will place a sky-high value on the item they are purchasing. It transforms a monotonous process of investing into a voyage that is truly epic in scale. The proponents of the thesis assert that they are not simply accumulating a digital asset. Rather, they are taking action in anticipation of a new financial system that is on the horizon. You are purchasing a prospective reserve asset at a small portion of its theoretical strategic worth. And even though this is entirely hypothetical, it motivates people. It is the line which is repeated most often. In times when the market is undergoing a period of instability, it gives people a sense of conviction